if we start with the Advaita inward-facing self-inquiry method,
Yes.
Could you, maybe for someone who's never heard of this, has no idea what we're talking about, maybe we could begin with
Yes.
why one might do that and what the actual procedure is.
Well, first of all, why one might do that, that's a conversation in itself. The reason why one might do that is because everybody loves happiness above all else. Not just those of us that are interested in spiritual matters, but all 7 billion of us love happiness above all else. And most people seek happiness through objects, substances, activities, states of mind, and relationships. And whilst we do experience periods or moments of happiness, none of these provide the lasting happiness for which everyone, without exception, longs. So at some point, there is this either this recognition or this intuition that the happiness for which we long above all else cannot be found in objective experience. And therefore, there's only one other place to look for it, in one's subjective experience, in one's own being. And this is, in fact, the foundation of all the great religious and spiritual traditions. The kingdom of heaven is within. This understanding stands at the very origin of Western civilization. The words "know thyself" are carved onto the entrance of the Apollo of the temple of Apollo at Delphi, indicating that in order to the knowledge of oneself is the most important knowledge and must be the foundation of not only a fulfilled personal life, but of any truly civilized society. So there are good reasons for exploring the nature of oneself, both personally and in relation to one's relationship with objects and others. So that's why one might embark on this investigation. How one would do this, one could start by asking, for instance, what is it that knows or is aware of my experience? Now, this might not seem a very significant question, but it's interesting that if you think of all if you and all your listeners think of all the years we all spent in education, first with our parents, then our schools, then our universities. How many of us were ever asked by our parents, our teachers, or our professors, what is it that knows or is aware of your knowledge and experience? I've yet to meet anyone who answered that question in the affirmative. I mean, think of the amount of knowledge and experience we have all amassed during our lifetime. But how often do we pause to ask the question, but how come there is experience? With what is experience known? What is it that illuminates or renders knowable our thoughts, images, feelings, sensations, and perceptions? So this would be one way to begin, just to ask yourself, to allow the contents of experience to unfold, thoughts, images, feelings, sensations, etc., without trying to control them or manipulate them in any way. And then just ask the question, but what is it that is aware of all of this? And then to see what happens to your, not answer that question, don't allow yourself to answer this question verbally, obviously. What is interesting is to see what happens to one's mind as it begins to explore the answer. For instance, let's say that at a certain moment you're sitting at home in the evening and you hear a strange sound in the house. And you wonder, what is that sound? What would you do? You get up and you go towards the place from which the sound originates. You go into the kitchen, you discover it's the kitchen window flapping or whatever. Now, you do exactly the same thing. What is it that knows or is aware of my experience? That question will take the mind in the opposite direction from any objective content. The noise in the kitchen, the sensation at the soles of my feet, the memory of last night's dinner, the thought that I'm thinking of. All of those are objects that we are aware of. The question is, what is aware of them? So this question will invite the mind in this unique direction, this objectless direction. And so that would be the way to begin this investigation into the nature of one's essential self.